The night was supposed to be ordinary, just another glittering evening in Los Angeles. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed, and everyone in the room seemed to orbit around Taylor Swift, as if she were the sun itself. She smiled politely, laughed when expected, but inside, her pulse ran faster than the rhythm of any song she'd ever written. Because tonight, she wasn't just performing, she was hiding something. A secret. She had promised herself she would never fall for someone in this industry again, not after the heartbreaks that had fed half her albums. But then he walked in. Not a celebrity, not an actor, not even a musician. He was the kind of man who didn't belong in a place filled with flashing lights and superficial chatter. A face too sincere, too grounded. Their eyes locked across the room, and in that instant, Taylor felt something she hadn't felt in years: danger. Not the kind that comes from paparazzi or tabloids, but the kind that sneaks into your chest, burning quietly, threatening to unravel everything you've built. She tried to look away, but he was already walking toward her. Step by step, confident, unshaken by the weight of the stairs around him. The noise of the party seemed to fade as if the universe itself decided to give them a private stage. "Taylor," he said softly when he reached her, his voice low enough that no one else could hear. Her breath caught. He knew her name. Of course, everyone did. But the way he said it, as if it belonged to him, shook her more than any paparazzi headline ever could. She managed to smile. "And you are?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned slightly closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "The last person you should be seen with tonight." Her heart skipped, and she felt her world tilt. Because in that moment, Taylor Swift realized two things at once. This man was going to change everything. And if anyone else noticed the fire sparking between them, her carefully constructed empire could collapse overnight. And then, Taylor couldn't sleep that night. The city outside her penthouse window glowed with restless lights, but none of them compared to the spark she'd felt when he whispered those words. The last person you should be seen with tonight. Who was he? And why did it feel like he already knew too much? She replayed every second in her mind. His steady gaze, the calm certainty in his voice, the way her own body betrayed her by leaning closer instead of pulling back. It wasn't infatuation. It was something darker, something magnetic. The kind of pull that could either save her or destroy her. The next morning, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Meet me where the city forgets itself. Noon." No name. No explanation. Yet she knew instantly who it was. Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. For someone who had built her entire life around words, she couldn't find a single one to explain what she was feeling. At noon, she found herself in a quiet corner of Griffith Park, disguised in sunglasses and a baseball cap. And there he was, waiting under the shade of a sycamore tree, as if he had always belonged there. "You came," he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Maybe against my better judgment," Taylor shot back, though her voice lacked conviction. He studied her for a long moment before finally speaking. "They'll do anything to keep us apart." Her chest tightened. "Who's they?" "The people who profit from your image. The ones who've turned your life into a business. The second they know I exist, they'll bury me, and they'll make sure you never see me again." Taylor's pulse hammered in her ears. This wasn't a flirtation anymore. This was something dangerous, something forbidden. And before she could stop herself, she whispered, "Then why can't I walk away?" He reached for her hand, slowly, carefully, as if touching her would set the whole world on fire. And just as their fingers brushed, a camera shutter clicked. Somebody was watching. The sound of that camera shutter was like a gunshot. Taylor froze, her hand still suspended inches from his. For one terrifying moment, she thought it was paparazzi, lurking in the bushes, ready to sell her secret to the world. But when she turned, she didn't see a mob of photographers. She saw one man, dark jacket, sunglasses, holding a camera with a lens too sharp, too professional, to be innocent. Her mysterious stranger's expression hardened. He stepped in front of her, shielding her as if by instinct. "Stay behind me." Taylor's pulse raced. "Who is he?" "Not paparazzi," he muttered. "Much worse." The man with the camera didn't run. He didn't shout. He simply lowered the lens, gave them a thin smile, and walked away, like someone who had already won. Taylor's voice shook. "What just happened?" Her stranger looked at her with something close to regret. They found us faster than I thought. Who are you? She demanded. Why do I feel like I've stepped into one of my own songs and can't get out? He hesitated, his jaw tight, as if he was holding back a truth too dangerous to say out loud. Finally, he whispered, because you were never supposed to meet me. That night, Taylor tried to distract herself with work, with melodies, with the familiar comfort of writing. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking, and every lyric she scribbled bled with confusion and fear. The next morning, headlines exploded. Taylor Swift's secret meeting in Griffith Park. Who's the mystery man? Swift's empire at risk. The photo was everywhere. Not crystal clear, but enough. The curve of her jawline, the shape of her sunglasses, it was undeniably her. Her phone lit up with calls from her publicist, her manager, even her closest friends. Everyone wanted answers, but the one person who had answers was nowhere to be found. Until midnight. That was when she heard the soft knock on her door. She opened it without thinking, and there he was, eyes stormy, face pale. They've started the clock, he said. We don't have much time left. The words, we don't have much time left, echoed in Taylor's chest like the toll of a funeral bell. She shut the door behind him, her voice barely steady. What do you mean? What clock? He paced the room, every step tight with urgency. The people who run this industry, your label, your so-called allies, even some of your closest friends, they don't care about you, Taylor. They care about control. And the second you let someone like me in, someone they can't manage or predict, they see it as a threat. Her heart thudded painfully. So what are you saying? That this, whatever this is between us, could end everything I've worked for? He stopped pacing, finally looking at her. Not could. Will. Silence. Heavy, unbearable. Taylor's throat tightened, but deep down she already knew he wasn't lying. She had felt it the moment their eyes met. This was dangerous. And yet, walking away felt impossible. Then why did you come back? She whispered. His gaze softened, breaking through the storm in his face. Because I'd rather burn down their empire than let them take you away from me. Her breath caught. For a woman who had written songs about heartbreak, about fragile promises and broken trust, she had never heard anything so reckless or so intoxicating. But before she could answer, her phone lit up again. Not a call this time. A message. One sentence, no sender. We warned you. Last chance. Taylor's blood ran cold. They know you're here. Glass shattered somewhere outside. A shadow moved past her balcony. Her stranger grabbed her hand, pulling her close, his voice urgent but calm. You have to decide right now. Do you want to keep being the Taylor Swift they own, or the Taylor Swift you've always wanted to be? The room seemed to shrink around her, her entire world narrowing down to this single choice. And just as she opened her mouth to answer, the lights went out.